just comes across as a little bit forced.
For me personally, in a moment like that, I think a performer would like to be seen more, you know, as a human rather than, you know, like a dancing monkey or, you know, an entertainer, you know.
Okay.
I want to thank my mom, my manager, God.
Stop it! Hey!
I just feel like if you're in a smaller venue with a smaller artist, right? They can see your face.
Yeah.
You can see theirs. And they're going to be able to create that relationship.
You know, you can see theirs, but you can't see theirs if you're under like, what, 5'5".
And that's because you're short, man. That ain't a problem for me. But like, you're going to be able to create a relationship that you're not going to be able to, like, in a bigger venue.
Wait, so you actually think?
Yeah, I do.
Oh.
Yeah. For me, I think about my favorite Tiny Desks, or, you know, Nirvana's MTV Unplugged, or Lauryn Hill's MTV Unplugged.
Lauryn Hill, you know what? I've not even seen MTV Unplugged, to be honest with you.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of them on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music.
Yeah. Oh, you were about to say Apple Music.
Yeah, I was about to say that. But the whole idea of these things were for artists to connect with the audience, whether they were watching back, listening back, or they're there in the live audience. And as an audience member, I like feeling acknowledged.
Don't you think I like to feel acknowledged too?
I don't know. Tell me if you like feeling acknowledged. I don't know.
Example, Book Mormon, or even Hamilton. Let's say if they stop mid-performance to deliver an overly sentimental speech.
Don't they do that already? It is theatre, right? Overly sentimental. It's kind of their thing.
No. Let the material speak for itself, no? Like, what do you do?
What do I do?
Right? You traveled, I don't know how long, right? Hours, miles, just to see your favorite artist, right? Then allow the live performance to recontextualize the listening experience, no?
I mean, you could say like talking or like speaking could, you know, help recontextualize the songs, you know, the personal stories, the personal pain behind them and such.
It's more to do with moving in the space you're in rather than to explain it.
I see what you're saying. Kendrick comes to mind. And, you know, now that you mention it, Beyonce with Renaissance too.
You know, even the Big Steppers tour, right? There was minimal dialogue between Kendrick, you know, Kendrick and his audience. He uses space as an advantage to expand those themes. And the idea is just sort of relating to the album.
You know, there was a lot into that show, you know, the live production, the costumes, the Helen Mirren voiceover, and especially, you know, the live band having these, you know, mainly digital songs with, you know, elements of, you know, electric guitars, violins, and all that sort of stuff.
And he was playing ventriloquist too.
Yeah, that's the United in Grief section. He was doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? To some degree, his concert to me, in some degree, was kind of akin to musical theatre.
Yeah, I can see, you know, why you'd say that, because, you know, we're having a musical performance, right? And you can sort of tap in to these other forms and other mediums. So when we're talking about cinema and how music influences that, or theatre, like you just said, they all have music running underneath them, and it can sort of become a multimedia experience.
You know, you put it that way.
So like, you got the huge artists and you got the small ones, you know, the huge ones we were talking about earlier, like Kendrick, right? And how you build a show, like, completely depends on context that your audience sits. You know, with a smaller show, you may think about more talking, more intimate sessions. You know, with the audience and the artist, well, if you're huger and the proximity is like larger, you'd think about, you know, how you're gonna transition and just costumes and screens and just big scale stuff that anyone from any space can sort of respond with.
It just comes across as like disingenuous, and there's just a lack of sincerity for the audience. Audiences at much smaller shows, they tend to have more respect when it comes to distance.
Do you wanna know what I don't have respect for?
What don't you have respect for?
Encores. For once, I actually see a point.
Okay, I mean, it's, you know, things have to come to an end, like, just for it to be good, right?
I agree.
You know, it's not even just for live shows.
Just things in general, man.
You should enjoy the fact you saw a great movie, or you went to see a solid performance. Stop automatically expecting more.
You've got to blame some of this on how media is consumed, right? There's always stuff coming out. There's always things being released, things people can consume. And as a result of that, nothing can be isolated. Nothing can die. And that's how things become organized. Imagine like you're 200 years old, right? You're 200 years old. And nobody's gonna say to you, like, oh, you had a great life. You have to die first.
Excuse me, there's something wrong with my chicken. Is there something wrong with me?
Don't cluck with me. Hey, I think there's something wrong with my chicken, you idiot.
Can I have a number 9 and a number 6 with a extra dip? Number 7.
Pizza. Is it designed for sharing?
I wouldn't know. Usually eat it by myself. It's usually frozen though, because you know how expensive takeaway is.
Takeaway is very expensive.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I could rant about how expensive these restaurants are all day. I promise you don't want to hear that, man.
Wait, pizza restaurants?
Bro, especially them. Especially them.
You know, I don't really get it. Pizza in a restaurant setting, right? Let's say you have a family of 4, bread, cheese, bit of marinara sauce. How's that gonna satiate an appetite for a family of 4?
Someone's paying for it.
Yeah, but pizza's in fine dining.
Yeah, you're right. There's a difference between, you know, service, which is, you know, the fine dining itself, and the product, which is pizza.
Should I really be paying for this service?
The service?
You know, it should be included in the final price anyway.
Yeah. It reminds me, you know, I was in America a couple of years ago, and, you know, you go to Walmart, maybe you're picking up bleach, like $3, right? $3 bleach. You go to the till, it's $5. It's messed up.
And in restaurants, I have to do mental gymnastics to work out the service charge. Where did the additional charge come from?
It's all dumb. I respect employees, I respect hosts, right? But dumping the responsibility of their payment on me, rather than their employer, the corporation, people who have tons of more money than a person like me, I don't like it. It's just not in my ethos.
There's some things we're paying for though.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I think there's some really admirable qualities in a host, and I genuinely believe it's more than just this transactional relationship between a customer and a host.
I believe that too, you know, when the host is kind or they have consideration to your needs. Thinking about that does sound transactional, but just as a customer, I like feeling special.
You know what?
I'm sorry.
I want to feel special too, you know, but you being wined and dined comes at an expense. You know, and I'm just sort of thinking,
I agree.
The years working in that industry, I've worked in that industry for 3 years. And I'm just thinking about it right now. I'm just getting a whole entire snapshot in it. You know, in the infancy of my career, you're just sort of pretending that you know what you're doing, but it's the challenge of dealing with 10 different people simultaneously. They have different needs and expectations.
And somehow you have to acclimate to all of them.
And you know what? You can't be stressed, and they can't see that you're stressed. You just have to accept that responsibility.
And if you're lucky, there you go. You get a tip. Really makes you wonder, you know, what your whole purpose is in this kind of these things.
I wasn't even tipped. The acknowledgement for my work came from my managers, and as a 16-year-old, you know, those words soften you up, and they can leave you quite vulnerable within the work-family dynamic.
It's so easy to fall into the trap of trusting too much outside of the work and letting it influence the inner work politics too much. In the workplace, no one really is your friend, so to speak, right? And to establish some sort of workflow, some sort of, you know, healthy, happy, if that's even a thing, working environment, there has to be some openness, you know, some sense of collaboration and standing up for yourself.
They use their good graces to demand things of you, and all they expect is a yes or some type of positive reinforcement.
Something that I've recently been trying to do, and you know, it's quite recent, is taking the time, thinking, communicating, instead of letting these things fester, because when they happen and when they fester, doesn't usually end up in something good. That experience, you know, it travels with you, right? And just every challenge, all the attrition you face in the workplace, it shapes you and, you know, continues to mold how you deal with situations later in life.
It does shape you. It shapes your work. It shapes your parameters and how you exist within that framework. You know, I'd actually say do it. Try it once. You know, especially if you own a liberal arts degree.
All I'm asking for is one ticket. Don't upsell me. I want my ticket.
They don't give these out anymore.
When the last time I got these, I don't even know.
You know, it's just, here's your QR code and here's your screen.
Yeah, I mean, the whole physical experience of how, you know, we experience movies and how we see them, it's lost. It's gone.
The things we hear too, we value them less. It's just dumped.
New Music Fridays, for example, they just feel like MP3 data dumps. But there have been a few instances, very recent instances, in fact, that have given me like a bit more hope. Like Brat, I liked how they did Brat.
You know what? I really like how they did Brat too.
And you know, everything like surrounding the songs and marketing material brought importance to the songs, you know. The album didn't just end when you finished hearing it, which I loved.
She focused a lot on the culture surrounding an artist, from what they wear, dialect, the scale of the shows.
It's a multimedia experience. I agree, man.
Yeah, and it culminates to what defines an era for that artist.
Also, this is all about bringing the personal taste, the world, the story of an artist to someone who may not have that in their immediate context.
You have to provide a value.
Like, think about the Migos song, Versace. That song added an immense amount of value to that brand. I mean, it was already a popular brand, but it was cool because they made it cool. Like, what Migos did with that song, it wasn't even intentional. It just did what it did and brought what it brought to the brand.
On the intentional side, Young Thug wearing that dress on that Jeffrey album cover, it created a conversation, which in turn created a dialogue. And then it resulted in this big debate as to why he was wearing that dress in the first place.
The running current between, you know, a lot of the things that we're saying right now is just based on an artist interacting with their audience. And that's how they create culture.
And you know what you just said? With what you just said, I believe it also leads to having a larger audience.
Conversation creates more conversation.
The active dialogue around Elden Ring, to conventional game making standards, it redefined the relationship between the player and the game.
Not as high their intelligence, right?
Exactly. There's this held philosophy in Western game design that hard games are just inaccessible. However, here, everyone is playing due to the challenge and the reward that comes exclusively with it.
You know, from the little I know about Elden Ring and the From Software games, they very much encourage the player to create their own path.
Stuck on a bus? Take an opportunity, explore the open world, find some gear, wild encounters. They will literally provide you lore about the world.
Like a defining philosophy. That's something that wouldn't be noticed on first glance, wouldn't it?
Like a value system. The real world has one, so fake ones need them too. It doesn't need to be explicitly told. But breaking it leads to interesting story.
Like Blade Runner, you know, you have these replicant androids who are hunted down and disposed by Harrison Ford. The breaking rule part comes with, you know, the break in the story, seeing the replicants in humanity, and that creates hesitance in Deckard or Harrison Ford's job.
And part of the immersion is the power structure. We don't have futuristic humans and replicants in our world. And we have that dynamic in class or race, and that creates connectivity that will keep people coming back. It's achievable. The power structure, the philosophies.
Everyone who's a part of it, they all have something to contribute, big or small.
And once this is all built, we'll have to make space to accommodate for it.
And we're gonna have to keep making more space as the system grows wider and wider.
Bigger and bigger. I'm just wondering how we're gonna do taxes. Who are we arresting?
Man, no corrupt please.
No
Not
corrupt
yet.
please? No
Not
corrupt
yet,
please?
man.
Okay,
No,
okay,
no,
not
no,
yet,
no, no,
not yet.
No.
All right.
No.
Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
No. 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 No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. It's not yet.
No.
All right, so no.
No.
And I get a for pick a piece.